Amazing evening, Nigerians. Welcome to Update with Precious. Another beautiful day to bring on an update of all the things that happen for inside Nigeria. I'm very excited to bring you update because matter the hot for inside Nigeria, and we're here to bring on the details of all the hot matter them for inside the country. But as usual, make a quickly go give on a quick update of things and what happen for inside the country. Sincere apologies, I wasn't able to bring you my quick update today. I've been so overwhelmed with stuff, but we just go join all of them together. So very quickly, make a run through the headlines of matter them as it hot for inside Nigeria. According to the way People's Gazette use carry this story, now so they use carry, don't quote me, Akpabio forged Senate proceeding to remove electronic transmission of results in electoral act. Senators, exactly the way we say People's Gazette use capture this news. Akpabio forged Senate proceedings to remove electronic transmission of results in electoral act. Senators, and mostly opposition senators, nine talk this one. This is deliberate assault on electoral transparency. Atiku slams senators. As Atiku slams Senate's rejection of electronic transmission of results. That one said day, and then other political parties then don't they react to them. ADCO don't react to them, not slam them. PDP self don't slam. Say what's your the fear to conduct free and fair election for? What is your fear? In fact, for social media, Nigerians on the slam them. Say wait, excuse me. You have about 29 governors. You have the highest number of senators and House of Rep members. What exactly is your fear? Waiting you the fear will make you go still no green direct transmission of results. In fact, if opposition leaders were serious, Nigerians would be flooding the streets. Henry Shield blast mere statements after Senate rejects mandatory e-transmission. Well, now all the drama we don't follow, but we'll go more serious matters. You can't impose leadership on us. PDP wants INEC over recognition of Wike faction. Under which ground what did they recognize Wike faction? That na part of what they say then they talk about. We will take over PDP headquarters next week. Wike faction vows after INEC recognition. And then no cause for alarm. Turaki led PDP assures members over INEC invite to Wike's team. Meanwhile, the same PDP don't say, electoral act, don't take Nigerians for granted, though. How can they take us for granted? PDP spokesman wants Senate. And then 2027, INEC registers two new political parties. Which one be the two new political parties? Well, you get to find out. By the way, for those of them where they say, oh, did they build houses for judges? Oh, that one don't make say judgment done there for pockets already. Well, a guy wicked on here on a cry and he don't respond. He say construction of houses for judges won't compromise judiciary. Wicked, I talk that one. This is my former governor. It gets Lambert. No, how did they call up? You get words. Okay. Construction of houses for judges won't compromise judiciary. Now, Wiki, now they talk that one. Nigeria's economy worse under Tinubu than Obasanjo, Jonathan, Olawepo, Hashim. Now they talk this one. And then Peter Obi rally support for ADC's Dr. Moses Paul in AMAC chairmanship poll in Abuja. That one said the Nigerian woman Oluwabumi Adeleyi convicted in UK after using fake certificate to work in NHS hospitals with no medical training at all. Chai. Oh. Tinubu praises Muslims slaughtered by Boko Haram. Send soldiers to Kwara. Muslims, you did well for not supporting extremist group. You see, Muslims are dying the way Christians are dying. Why are you saying it's Christian genocide? You see, Muslims are also dying. Why are you saying it's Christian genocide? You can see these particular Muslims ona do well for not allowing these other extreme people to use to infiltrate on her. I'm not saying that because ona stand strong on her faith. Now, what's make them kill ona? You die the gallant death. Sorry. Well, at least 75 Muslims killed in Kwara community after rejecting extremist ideology. Now, so Governor Abdul Razak talk in response. And then more exclusive stories concerning, details concerning that, attack. As exclusive from Sahara Reporters carry and say, we saw terrorists in bushes months before 170 were killed, but Kwara government ignored our warnings. Say Kayama massacre survivors. They say they even write them. They even tell government, and government just keep quiet, not tell them anything. Now see what in the don't face death. Kwara residents narrate how terrorists behind massacre spoke Benin Republic language. Did you hear me? That they spoke Benin Republic language, shot men dead, spared the women and kidnapped them along. Kai, now wow. All right. PDP blames Tinubu government for Woro massacre of 170 people, says blood of the innocent Nigerians cries out for justice. And then Governor Abdul Rahman's administration splurged 3.2 billion naira only on foreign trips in 2025 amid deadly terror attacks in his state. That, according to reports. IPOB leader Nnamdi Kanu appeals life sentence, seeks reversal of terrorism conviction. Say, he not be terrorist. I'm not going to reverse my terrorism conviction. Terrorists who killed 170 in Kwara's Woro community allegedly had security informants. Who they talk this one? Perogi, now they talk and say then get person where they within the security will be their informants. Wow. Nigeria Immigration Service probes Officer Makama over allegations of 4-day detention, repeated rape of 21-year-old. And then Governor Rahman's administration, yeah, I think I told you this already. Moving on, Kwara traditional ruler Oba Simeon Olanipekun freed following weeks in captivity after ransom payment. Why alleged coup plotters against President Tinubu cannot be tried by military tribunal? Falono, I need to talk this one. Bandits ambush Zamfara residents returning from markets. Kill 5, several missing. And PDP blames Tinubu government for Woro massacre. I think you heard this already too. And then Borno government budgets 150 million naira for feeding sheep, goats at government house. You know, the sheep and goats of government house need to be well fed. It's not good when they're not well fed. 150 million only to feed them in 1 year is not too much. Abuja court jails ex-Nexim MD Robert Oya for 490 years, over 2.4 billion naira fraud. If you like say this punishment now, make you go jail to like, I go jail person for 490 years. You go to prison for 490 years. All right. PDP, ADC, NNPP urge conference committee to override Senate mandate electronic vote transmission. So the minority caucus don't come together. Say, you know what? Make the committee will put up this thing. Override Senate, make them make sure say they push waiting a say they been passed before. At least 16 killed, including mobile police commander, as terrorists again attack Benue markets. This time around, markets for Benue State. Loot shops, kill people, including a police commander for Benue State. Again, it's happening. And then Nigerian police arrest 6 suspected kidnappers in Edo after night raid. And bandits release 1 kidnapped victim after ransom, 1 dead, 2 still held after December 2025 Kogi abduction. And Nigerian police confirm violent invasion, vandalization of ADC party secretariat in Benin City. Court orders police DSS probe after registrar connived with ex-governor Yahaya Bello's nephew to tamper with evidence in 10 billion fraud case. Hell, now wow. Over 160 worshippers abducted in Kaduna regain freedom. And this is good news. How did they regain freedom? I think it's important to know. How Nigeria's Senate leadership overruled majority, blocked mandatory real-time results transmission amid vested interest. So all of these and more matters now we get this evening. And with a lot of excitement and a welcome on to the show. Thank you so much for joining us and welcome to the show. My name is Precious Inye. And joining us this evening now Dr. Catch Onanuju, our Thursday tonic. And today promises to be an amazing conversation. Dr. Catch, good evening and thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you. Thank you, sir. We have a lot to talk about. I mean, while you were away, this is not in my headline because it's yesterday's story. While you were away, the US said they've sent troops into Nigeria. And while you were away, international communities don't they carry stories against who don't keep people again in their numbers. Before our government even talk, the international people, they help us to talk. While you were away, all those things happen. I say I will let you know. But make I quickly just speak your mind and waiting get to do with this whole issue about electoral act amendment, where it be say the Senate minority group now they talk say not be waiting them pass with this, that they actually imputed the direct transmission of results, transmission and not transfer, but that the waiting it be say Oga Akpabio compass, not be waiting it be say them put. So how do you see this? Remember that we had the same issue with the tax reform bill. And when the Senate resumed, Oga Akpabio said, no, there was nothing, there was no gazetted copy different from everything will be said and passed and the original one. Now we're hearing this again. Meanwhile, Oga Akpabio, in trying to explain to Nigerians yesterday, said that, that they did not remove electronic transmission. They only maintained what was there in the 2022 Electoral Act. But Oga Abaribe, if I make a play with Oga Abaribe talk, so that you go understand. Make a first play, even like I said, I go play with Akpabio talk because Akpabio responded exactly to that same issue yesterday. And people were like, in fact, some people said Akpabio was gaslighting Nigerians with his explanation because be like, say, come be like, say, we don't understand waiting if we say our law we talk about again. That now waiting people they talk. But let me quickly take what Abaribe and other opposition senators said. And I'll come to Akpabio. Take a listen, sir.
We felt, those of us who are still around, that it would be necessary to make a clarification of what happened yesterday, to put the records straight. Yesterday, the Senate did not, I repeat, did not pass transfer of results, which was in the 2022 Act. What we passed, and which the Senate President himself, when he was doing a clarification sitting on his chair, is transmission of results. And I need to make this very clear. Every one of us who is a senator, who has the privilege to represent a senatorial district, came here under the trust of their senatorial zone. And the reason for us to go into a closed session was so that we can tidy up all the niggling things inside there. And when we now come back to plenary to pass it, that we will pass it without any rancor. I can assure you, on my honor and the honor of all of us who are standing here, that both the Electoral Committee of the Senate, then the Ad hoc Committee of the Senate, and also in the executive session that we had, that we all agreed on section 63, which is electronic transmission of votes, or electronic transmission of results. Transmit, not transfer. What is in 2022 is transfer. And we don't want a law that is vague. We don't want a law that will be misinterpreted by anybody. We want a law that is clear, concise, and can be interpreted by all, and that is unambiguous. So it is electronic transmission of results. Yes, thank you. I think we can end it here because we've done what.
All right, so sir, you hear waiting Oga Abaribe talk for inside that matter, and end there because say part of waiting Ibisi people they talk about for that electoral act and say making them compulsory, which Ibisi they say the committees them also do, was important because of the court judgment will come out after the 2023 election. Where they like say the act being give INEC the choice of whether to go ahead and transmit electronically or not. So that was why it was or transfer electronically or not. And that's why it was important to mandate it and put it mandatory transmission of results in that place. But here is the explanation Akpabio gave yesterday while making clarification over the opera where we say that judgment gets.
There was no deliberate attempt on the part of the Nigerian Senate to delay the amendment of the Electoral Act. Our intention had always been to ensure that we do our best and we do it painstakingly, taking our time to ensure that what comes out reflects the yearnings and aspirations of all Nigerians. And also to be sure that the next election, all questions connected with the next election will be answered by the amendments to the Electoral Act 2022. But the social media already is awash with the fact that the Senate has rejected electronic transmission. That is not true. That is not true. Electronic transmission had always been in our act. And what we did was to return the electronic transmission, which had been in our act and which was used in 2022. So please do not allow people to confuse you. If you are in doubt, we will make up our final votes and proceedings available to you if you apply and you are entitled, so that you will see. This Senate, under my watch, has not rejected electronic transmission of results. It's in my interest as a participant in the next election for such to be done. So please don't go with the crowd. Don't go with the crowd. We have retained what was in the previous provision. That's all we did. So if we rejected what was proposed by way of amendment and said, let's retain what was in the previous provision, the previous provision had made allowance, had made provision for electronic transmission. So it is still there as part of our laws. And I think we should be moving forward, not moving backwards. There is no way we can, in this era of electronics, will now be going backwards. So
all right, but
important to
clearly
know
from
that.
the explanation
So
when
the
even like say would they
members
go backward? Because if we had transfer in written in the last electoral act, and you're telling us that you maintain what we had before, and meanwhile the people where amend and say they put transmission, real-time transmission, which of course surpasses the transfer we had before, then what are we talking about? But let me take your thoughts on this. I mean, you're a master in this, so you know better. Let me quickly take your thought before we move to security issues, sir.
Well, we've been here before in regards to what happened in the tax bill. If there are arguments, there are also ways to go back to look at the video transcript, the live video that was on during the uh, business of the Senate.
It was a
I don't
closed
think,
meeting, sir. It was a closed session.
even
So
if
I
it's
don't
a
know.
slow session, the
Okay,
videos were on.
okay, okay. They will not just be
Senate
made public.
had
Okay.
the videos are paid for by Nigerian taxpayers. It runs live in the Senate, and everything that happened was captured live. So we can always go back to that. It was the same issue that we did in the issue of the tax bill. It's always easy to go back and we'll find out what the truth is. But then that's the beauty of a democracy. We've been docile for a very long time. That's why
Mm.
you're seeing them do this. I believe this kind of thing may have happened before, and they glossed over it. Of course, people were very quiet about the tax bill fiasco until people now brought the uh, the written versions, and that's how we're able to then move towards the correction. So I don't really see a problem there. If people are insistent that there was this during the business of the Senate, we'll be able to get the video to check at what happened and then put the corrections. You see, all successful societies are never afraid of their history. So we're not going to be afraid of the history of what happened in the Senate by looking at the video transcripts. And we'll simply learn from it, correct the flaws, and we'll move on. I'm not worried about this. It's good that Senator Barber has raised his voice. And of course, the Senate President is also speaking. I think very soon we'll come to the middle of this. That's not an issue.
But
That's not
there's,
an
there's
issue.
there's an issue because people are saying that this same judgment or this same thing passed through different committees and different ad hoc committees, and all the committees and ad hoc committees are accepting that this is what they passed. How come the one way can't tell Nigerians say you passed? Can't they different from within the different committee at all committee and ad hoc committee levels? Can't they different? That's on the one hand. And then who would call for the video recording? The leadership of the Senate, the one that is being accused by each corner.
Once there is a disagreement like this, the video recording will be forced out in the open. Secondly, don't forget that we've also not gotten to the point of harmonization with the
Hmm.
House of Reps. So the harmonization will also come in, and you still have senators seats in their numbers. So
Hmm.
I don't see a problem. Yes, there are acts of desperation currently being executed by the ruling party, but nobody says that a society that is also desperate for the good part and the good way of life for its citizens cannot go to extra lengths to make sure that what was agreed in the Senate chambers, as was done in the case of the tax bill, should also be done in the case of the electoral bill. And we're talking about the electoral bill is okay. We're just asking about the electronic transfer, which is faster, which is in real time. Transfer of those votes as recorded to
Exactly.
the
The
various
only they see am
centers.
for abroad when we dey watch election results, sir. Just
That's
something like
right.
that. Hmm.
We do that, but in Nigeria, those who are afraid of free and fair elections are the ones who will try to blur the lines and wouldn't want real time, direct electoral transmission of results. I don't have a problem. We'll get there.
All
It's
right.
good that Senator Barber is picking up. And of course, you know how the things are. We'll still get there. We're going to get there.
All right, sir, but very quickly, what do you think that the ruling party or whoever may have done this is afraid of? Because from my counting, I had to make a detailed analysis today. And I think the ruling party has about 29 governors, about 82 senators out of 109. In fact, out of 108 thereabout, they have 82. They have about 242 House of Rep members and over 598 House of Assembly members. In fact, local governments, they have about 774, almost all the local governments. So they have majority included in councillorship. So that means they clearly have all the structure, both in federal, state, and local government. So what are they afraid of? What could they be afraid of, sir?
Coaxed defections does not affect the emotions of the voters. So
Ah, so
those
that is make I help
coax,
you interpret them. Say defection will be say them force people to do. It need to affect the emotions of the people
it
when they
does
vote.
not affect the emotions of the voters. The
Mm,
voters vote in reaction to how they feel about country, their fears about the future, and of course what they believe is right. And that's what Nigeria has been going through. But of course, we have a lot of very fraudulent people who are in positions of power, just like the last time when we voted. And then did acrobatics, wrote what they wanted in longhand, and then announced it in midnight. We didn't want trouble. We went to the courts, and we found that the problem is actually not in the transmission of votes. The problem of the country is the judiciary.
hmm.
Yes. The problem of the voting issue is the judiciary. A lot of these things can be proved in court. But when you get judges that are compromised, it becomes very difficult for you to get justice. This is why we're like this. If not, excuse me, it's very easy
Hmm.
for you to report some of these people who are afraid of free and fair elections to the courts and get justice, and that will actually stop them from being a nuisance in the public space. Our fight to build a better society will not stop, irrespective of the acrobatics by politicians who are afraid of free and fair elections. So I think we don't achieve these things just by thinking one action is no, no, no. Society gets well by a sum of different actions which society, which citizens take. You can see now we are seeking for a better society. But you know, those who do not want a better society for Nigeria are busy using violence to undermine. That's why you were talking about the killings in Kwara. You know,
Yes.
the killings in several places. Why do you have these killings in Kwara, Kogi? Because the flank in coming to the south from the other part of the north, like Benue, is being blocked by the scrutiny right now, brought about by the American intervention. So they're now trying to open new fronts. So those who you see who fraudulently do not want the electoral system to get honestly better will, of course, be trying their ways any which way they can. But what I would say is, as is normal with my way, being an incurable optimist, I would tell people, if you want to kill a python, it doesn't die from a single strike. You hit it again, you continue to hit it until it stops moving. We will continue to fight. We will continue to make our positions known. We will continue to organize. We will continue to push until we get to the Nigeria that we desire. Nobody's going to give you a good Nigeria just because you're asking for it. We need to do a lot of work. You can see today, those who undermine our democracy by not allowing inclusion are still there. And when you talk to them, they say it's their right. It's their right to do these things that they do.
All right.
So
So,
we
so
don't
now
have to
that you
stop.
said this, there are other things I want to ask you very quickly. I know we're coming to those areas that we're going to the insecurity, because I saw a video of Beatrice Pugo, the president of Middle Belt Forum, where he said that, in fact, I'll tell you that. Let me quickly just speak your mind on a few more political issues. So while you were away over the weekend, the PDP subtly accused Wike of um, using the judiciary to get votes, to get judgment. Now, you recall that the judiciary, I mean, the courts, nullified the convention we BC PDP get, and it's supposed to be your party. And even at that, so while the spokesperson be to respond to questions, it can't say, they're surprised. And when the chief judge of the Federal Capital Territory to go pay a courtesy visit to the minister and telling him that we don't have land, and we cannot ask him, how many are you people? Say, what do you expect? Will the judgment not go their way? Now, Wike has now responded today, and he said that building houses for judges will not compromise the judiciary. Let me quickly play you what Memobong said, an evidence of Wike meeting with Justice So. Let me quickly play it so that you see. Make we not
Well,
talk
it
with
only shows the wisdom that my Lord used in arriving at that, because I'm sure that my Lord cannot point to the constitution of the party anywhere where there is a national caretaker. But again, I have tremendous respect for the court, and which is why the court should stay away from the internal affairs of the party so that they don't become politicians. But you do know that perception and reality may have divergence, but when they converge to the extent that people lose faith in a process, when the CJ of the Federal High Court pays a courtesy call on the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory and trembles in front of that person, and you now see a streak of judgments. I'm not saying anything, but I'm simply saying that you find a situation where the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court goes to beg the Minister of the FCT for land and houses for judges of the Federal High Court. I'm not saying anything, but I'm simply saying perception.
That's a very strong
So,
allegation, and I doubt
no,
that.
but
I wonder if you
it's
have any
public.
proof of that.
It was public. I will send you the video. The courtesy call was public. And the minister was even saying, oh, how many of you are there across different jurisdictions? Oh, we'll start with the senior judges or the younger judges and all of that. So what perception do
well,
you,
just to cut
and
this
this
here,
is the
this
same
actually did
CJ that
happen,
we have.
and there are evidences that this happened. Now, this is a footage of Justice
So
Toho.
can you tell us what you're holding
That's
honor
him.
of his presence here today? Sit down to speak.
Let me get where
Where
Wike was
the
actually.
Honorable Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, Chief Winston Wike, well, I'll leave out officials of the Federal Capital Territory, honorable judges of the Federal High Courts of Nigeria, and the Chief Registrar in attendance, press, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. Well, we're here in recognition, on a courtesy call in recognition of the fact that the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory is the landlord of the Federal Capital Territory, where the headquarters of our court is also
All right, so you can
situated.
see that that is established. He visited and mentioned that they're there on a courtesy call to the Minister of the Federal Capital Territory, the Chief Judge of the Federal Capital Territory, Justice John Suho. So this is
Are you
where
up to
Wike was
50?
Present, we are 96.
asking them how many they are. You're up to 50.
Are you up to 50?
Present, we are 96.
Ah, hi. So, 96. But outside jurisdiction, how many?
Outside, yeah?
Outside the jurisdiction, that is outside the
FCT.
FCT, I
That
guess.
should be 96 minus 13.
83.
33.
Okay, let me say it this way. How many divisions do you have? So we have the presiding or administrative judges.
All right, so just to save us
How many
time,
divisions?
the man explained, and Wike promised he will start to build the houses batch by batch for them. Do you think that this singular, scenario could compromise judgments in Wike's favor, understanding that in get a lot of cases where in get interested? And remember, say the court will pass that judgment now under FCTD.
Of course, the executive has no business building houses for judges.
Hmm.
The judiciary's vote in the budget should take care of the requirement of judges. And that goes to the heart of the separation of powers. But I do not understand this idea of whatever judiciary people want something, they start looking for it as a favor from people in the executive. And that's what gives rise to this overdependence on graft. It's not the very best for our country. And it's being done so openly with a flagrant disregard for ethics. And you can see there is no decorum in the exercise of the Separation of Powers Act. So I think it really leaves a lot to be desired. It's not the best for this country. The picture is not the best for this country. The actions are not the best for our democracy. And then it also shows you that we're very much deep inside the woods. We're not yet out of it.
Hmm.
This is very sad, very, very sad commentary about the Separation of Powers Act. It's disgraceful. I'm not happy that we're
Disgraceful.
discussing.
Disgraceful.
Very, very disgraceful. I'm not happy that we're discussing this. This is not proper.
Hmm.
This is dating. It simply makes us look stupid.
But Oga
It's
Wike
not
don't
the
respond
best.
today. He don't talk. Say building houses for judges don't get anything to do with judiciary compromise. Say he no go compromise judiciary. Say he's just doing what he has to do for them. Do you think that response? Because people were now wondering why he even needed to respond in the first place. Let me read his response. The FCT minister, Oga Yes Wike, has dismissed claims that ongoing judicial infrastructure projects in Abuja could compromise independence of the judiciary. Wike spoke today, Thursday, after inspecting several judicial projects in the nation's capital. The projects inspected included then too plenty, but he said that no. That was contrary to what people are saying. You can't talk about democracy without talking about the judiciary. You also can't expect them to perform efficiently when they don't have a befitting places to stay. So this cannot compromise judgment. That's what he said. That's what he said.
Well, he could say that we know what the facts are. In this regard, the Ministry of Justice does have a budget, and that budget includes the provision of houses for its staff. I think our laws are being called into question, and whatever it is that the executive should build shouldn't be in this manner. Provision of basic amenities for those who work for government should not become this dramatized as if the government is doing a favor to judges. No, it's a right. It's not a privilege. Okay, and I think the way we're going about it leaves a lot to be desired. It's not
Hmm.
the best for this country. So we're just showing the world how we feel.
Hmm.
This is not the best. This is not the best.
All right, sir.
This is,
So one more thing that happened while you were away. I did tell you, I think that happened last week. I don't know if you had time to talk about it, or maybe we'll talk about it briefly, where Farouk Lawal had said that the North has the numbers and that they would never agree for the balance of Christian Muslim candidate if President Tinubu were to ditch Shetima and pick a northern Christian. And then I bumped into this video because he always says that. And when they asked him what the reason was, he said because they simply have the numbers. That you cannot dispute it. It's undisputedly that the North has more of the numbers. But I bumped into a past interview of Beatrice Pogo, the president of Middle Belt Forum, talking about the same numbers and accusing the Northerners, especially the Fulanese, about using their numbers in the Middle Belt. Take a listen to it and react quickly.
The North they use this argument. We have the
State. I know you have often stated this before, but I just thought to, dig out some of those things that corroborate some of the things you said.
The North use, they use this argument. We have the numbers, etc. Take the Middle Belt out. Where are the numbers? They know they don't have the numbers, sir. They know it. But of course, for propaganda purposes, they use that argument. We have the numbers. We can do it. Now, the North, the British wanted the North to remain monolithic for some reason. They wanted it because they wanted to hand over power to the North. And they used Middle Belters to beef up the population of the North before independence. And though before independence, if you look at the population, go back to history, all these things are there, you can Google and see. The Southeast and Bamenda had the highest population, followed by the Southwest and the North, that is including the Middle Belt, had the third population in terms of numerical strength. However, the British wanted to hand over to the North and therefore denied the Middle Belters a region for themselves. Though after independence, the southern minorities were given Midwestern region for also political consideration, which now we know as used just to whittle down the strength of the Southwest. But all the same, we who consider ourselves Middle Belters going down history and memory lane are saying we are not Northerners. We are Middle Belters. And the North has always considered us that way anyway. When it comes to such consideration as North, they say all of us as North. But when it comes to appointments and other considerations, they don't consider us as North. So why should this hypocrisy continue? Let them just say, we are Middle Belters, they are Northerners. Let everybody be who he is.
All right. So, Dr. Kaj, I'd like you to quickly jump on this while we'll face the matter of insecurity of the day. Go ahead, sir.
I have told you severally, repeating what the gentleman simply stated.
Yeah.
Nigeria, till this minute, remains a Christian majority country. And what you have heard you see, they're mistaking numbers in the North to be all Muslims. It's not true. The majority population area of the North is the Middle Belt. And the Middle Belt is a Christian majority area. And that's what the far North, the arid zone on top, it's a different thing from the Middle Belt. It's in the Middle Belt you have Plateau State. It's in the Middle Belt you have Taraba. It's in the Middle Belt you have Benue. It's in the Middle Belt you have Nasarawa. It's in all those places that are Christian majority states are in the Middle Belt. So I don't really understand, because the Muslims lie and because they also have used that lie to undermine inclusion in the country. Nepotism, what Buhari practiced, it gave some people the belief that they could do certain things and get away free with it. Now you have heard it from the president of the Middle Belt Congress. The Middle Belt Forum knows that the Middle Belt is a Christian majority area. Where you have the Muslim majority is in the far north, northwest, northeast, a very far part of it.
But does it mean that you don't have Christians at all there? Or you just have I mean, in the
Look, the data we have there, we go through the correlation between school enrollment and population density. We look at the bank records and population density. We look at registrations, NIN, and population density. Nigeria remains a Christian majority country. Look at the banks. Look at the school records. It has.
All right, sincere apologies. I think the network put Dr. Catch out. Go ahead, sir, please. You were saying
Yeah,
something.
so it's not controversial. If you check, our problem is a lot of the fraudulent manipulations achieved during the days of the military, who were mostly from the north, and is what the Fulani are trying to use. That in short, they will do jihad, and you can see now when we're stopping them from doing jihad in the Benue flank, they are now moving to Kwara and Kogi areas. I don't understand. It pains me that the government is not available to secure lives and property. It's sad. Look at what's going on in Kogi. Look at what's going on in Kwara.
Over
It is sad.
170 people. And
It's
Dr.
an
Katz,
eyesore.
the saddest part is that the people in Kwara State said that they had gotten prior information and they had notified the state government ahead of time, weeks ahead, and that the state government did not do anything. Oh, by the way, President Tinubu is praising them that, he say, in a Muslim community, but what people call Yoruba Muslims. And people like President Tinubu is praising them for not bowing to the extremist ideology of those bombastic terrorists. So it's a good job. You see, our president is very neutral. And this again goes a long way to prove that these attacks is not just on Christians alone. Remember, I mean, if you can massacre 170 Muslims in their community, a Muslim in their community, so it shows that it's not just Christians that die; they're killing Muslims too. And that's why the president is also, hailing them for not subjecting themselves and, accepting the extremist views of the terrorists.
I don't know the true numbers of the areas that were attacked and those who were, doing this stuff. But of course, because the government has been found to be complicit in these killings, it can make noise to create the impression that the Christians are not the ones being killed. What you have to ask yourself, how many Muslims do you see in IDP camps? That's what
Mm.
you have to do. Go around and ask, why don't you see Muslims in IDP camps? This could be staged to create the impression that the killing is evenly spread. How many Muslims do you see in the IDP camp? That's just a question. So go to places like Kasena. Yes, you see Muslims, Hausas who are being killed by these
How
Fulani. Hausas are being killed in Kasena, being displaced in Zamfara, being killed in Sokoto. I know that for sure. Because the Hausas live on lands that are desired by these Fulani who speak Bambara and French. Because most of the people who are doing this are not Nigerians. So we Nigerians are happy about the arrival 3-4 days ago of American boots on Nigerian grounds. Don't forget, the Americans told us if within 2 months we're not able to protect these people being killed, Americans will come. So the Americans are here. So you could even see killings that are staged. And after they are done, you will hear the president start singing that he has never talked before. How come he's been silent in all the killings? And now he wants to play this one up to say that they are Muslims. Why? The Americans are in country. The president has not been able to direct the removal from Christian villages, Christian farms, Christian homelands of these foreigners that have come in from other neighboring countries and have been allowed to occupy these Christian villages in Benue, and Plateau, in Taraba, in Southern Kaduna, and other places. So we need to understand it is because Nigeria has not been able to return these internally displaced Nigerians back to their ancestral lands that the Americans are here now. To do that, which the Nigerian government cannot do in 60 days. So, as far as I'm concerned, we welcome the Americans to Nigeria, and we tell them that Nigerians shall be cooperating with them to help us remove the jihadists wherever they may be, occupying land, occupying villages, occupying homes of indigenous Nigerians without having the government bat an eyelid at this very annoying and vexing phenomenon.
All right, sir. So one of the good news we say we hear today, and I say about with the 160 kidnapped Kaduna victims, say they don't free 160 of them, they don't release them, and Nigerians are a bit excited about that. Even though say the news they a bit sketchy as to how it be say they use release them, but people just be very happy that at least these people have regained their freedom. And do you think that has anything to do with the United States troop boots on the ground in Nigeria?
Well, don't forget, we are talking about people whom, when they are kidnapped, the authorities went into a frenzy of denial. If they are suddenly not released, we really do not know what to believe because a lot of news coming out from government quarters are not to be believed. If they tell you somebody's been released, be calm and cross-check that through other channels to understand what's going on. Some news released by the authorities or caused to be released to the space by the authorities are actually doctored mind game templates. So I would say whenever you hear the government claim these people have been released, same people that they claimed were not kidnapped. And that's where this trouble is. When people are kidnapped by jihadists and there are cries like we had in Kaduna, government officials were busy denying it. And then nobody took this thing seriously. Things got too bad before government started accepting that there has been the kidnap of 162 people in areas around Kajulu in Kaduna State. So I think we need to go easy on these issues. Some of them are calibrated and acted to show that government, when kidnaps are done, that they wake up to it. Let's keep watching. Let them stop these killers. Let them arrest these killings and the jihad, wherever they may be. If the government had acted earlier, as we're beginning to see through the American urgings, I don't think we'll be where we are right now. Because the government was in denial, and in some places there were governments that were complicit, state governments, and in some areas the federal government was complicit because it even was helping the terrorists to get successful. But of recent, the government has now reversed the doctrine of do not engage. The reversal of that doctrine is good. But the jihadists are now opening new frontiers and new pathways in other parts of the country. And as you can see, that people are taken by more than 100, 160, 170 persons. It tells you, as you said earlier, that despite the provision of intelligence about intentions by terrorists to strike communities, this terrorists still get successful in coming into communities and killing people and kidnapping others. How come government agencies do not react to citizens' information, alerting the government security officials about credible, actionable intelligence that the kidnappers are about to strike, to kill and to kidnap persons in areas where people exist as citizens who should enjoy the protection of their lives and their property as an automation forced by law upon the government of the day. But of course, we have suffered, and that's why you'll see, due to our inability to help our people, that we're not having the international community led by the United States coming in here. I expect the EU to follow suit in regards to their pledge that when the United States comes into Nigeria, to start saving those who are being killed, maimed, and kidnapped by the jihadists and the Fulani militias, that they will come to help Nigerian Christians and other Nigerians affected by this very adverse circumstance in our country.
All right, sir. So there's another thing I like us to look at. I mean, concerning this insecurity, these people they talk say while it be say they attack them or they attack them, that the people who attack them were speaking a language that sounds like that of Benin Republic, just neighboring Benin Republic. They speak that language, and they killed the men, spared the women while they abducted some of the women and children. Now, a security United States-based professor of journalism, Farouk Ekperogi, don't also talk say the Boko Haram people, the way PC killed this 170 people in Woro community, Ayama local government area of Kwara State, that they have informants among the security forces. He's from, I think, the neighboring local government area. So I think he has some information I don't know. He said that the trigger for the mass massacre was the decision by the district head of the village, Alhaji Salim Umaru, to inform authorities about a letter the community had received from the terrorists, stating that they would be coming to preach in the village on an unspecified date. Now, according to him, the rural community of Woro, which he described as geographically, historically, culturally, and even consanguinely linked to his own people, came under a sustained and brutal attack by terrorists locally known as Mamuda, believed to be a breakaway faction of Boko Haram elements. So he said that these people have informants from the security agencies. How possible is it, especially at a time when we perhaps still have the US boots on ground in Nigeria? If the US is boots on ground in Nigeria and this is happening, sir, waiting go be the fate. Because even still yesterday, attack happened for Benue State, where they entered the market and shot people. 16 people died, including a police commander. Died.
Don't forget, we're discussing the aftermath of actions decided, taken, and initiated during the Buhari administration.
Mm-hmm.
We're only reacting to causes that were initiated during the Buhari administration.
Oh, wow.
And so I want you to understand that a lot of the militia brigades started their actions during the days of the Buhari administration. And during those days, there were people in the army who were actually demarcated as a Nigerian army platoon on grazing. Don't forget that. So those who were appointed to protect the Fulani interests are still inside our security services. What we have only done is to announce an abrogation of the old doctrine of do not engage. What about those who were put inside these militias to work with the militia? What about those who were made to swear to protect the interests of the militia? What about those who still act to this day in a way that said that they can cooperate with the militias? What about those who informed, who withdrew the security men stationed at the school in Kebbi just minutes before the kidnappers and terrorists stormed that school? So we're only now talking about our readiness for reaction. What about the people who have been embedded in the security services as it was done in Afghanistan? What about those who were recruited into the security services from the terrorist organizations by the Buhari administration? So why won't there be informants? Have we weeded these terrorists out from security services? Who also told you that everybody in the security services have lost their emotional attachment and sympathies that they had for this people? We've only started a process of trying to change minds, of trying to tell members of the security services that it is wrong to support these terrorists. You've not asked us how many of these our security people who were previously loyal to the intentions of the terrorists have changed. How many of them have changed from their old mindsets to that which we desire in today's Nigeria? So I think it's a work we must continue to work at. This business is not going to be an event. It will be a marathon. Because the more we try as a society to win off a lot of members of society from supporting the actions of these terrorists and militias, the more you see the hardliners, just as you've seen them act, as we try to stop them in Benue, they open a new flank in Kwara and in Kogi states. That tells you that they still have capacity and the capabilities to inflict pain on us.
All right, sir. So there are also other complaints, and I'd like you to pay attention to this. So I came across the post on social media of a Ghanaian lady who would accuse the Fulanis from inside Ghana of trying to stop violence in Ghana. And she did say that the Ghana gets law where they say they need to let open grazing. So if your car waka anyhow, the punishment I say we will kill and Sabbath. And then I think a particular cow did that, and the law, visits the cow. And a particular lady whom she said was a Fulani lady started talking and ranting and all that. There's a lot this lady said that is shocking, especially because she mentioned our dear country Nigeria in that conversation. I'd like you to take a listen to it, sir.
Hey, imagine 2026 is the year when Fulani want to dominate and across West Africa. There is this lady going viral in Ghana. She's a Burkinabe Fulani. She live in Ghana. And then I think before this time, the Ghana authority tell them keep your cows safe. Keep them safe, protect your cow, because any cow that misbehave in the road will be slaughtered for free. So I don't know what is going on. Towards ending of 2025. There was some shenanigans, cows they see on the road, and Ghana military open fire on them. And she have the mind to come on media to come and call the whole attention of everybody that the military of Ghana are slaughtering our cow. This is insurgency. This is dangerous. So this is bro. The Ghanaians are not taking lightly on her. And I'm speaking, on behalf of the Burkinabe. I don't want these shenanigans people to bring problem between Burkinabe and Ghanaians. Okay? Because people are just shouting, hey, this Fula Burkinabe, this Fula Burkinabe. Please, if she don't want to live peacefully in Ghana, deport her with her cow back to Burkina Faso. She have a country. Let her carry her cow to come and do shenanigans in where the territory of Traore. Okay? Please, authority of Ghana, deport her. If she's not ready to abide with the laws of Ghana, deport her with her cow back to Burkina Faso. Then let her come and use her cow to disturb our home country, not Ghana. We will not allow any Fulani to destroy Ghana the way they destroy Nigeria. Because the whole world overlook the problem of Nigeria and they don't care when Fulani are building their cabal. Now the problem become everybody problem. We are now shouting, but we will not allow any insurgency in Ghana because Ghana is one of the most peaceful countries we have in West Africa. We have 15 countries in West Africa. Most likely all the countries having problem. The only country that is not having problem is Ghana, Gambia, Liberia, and Sierra Leone. But now they are having small problem in Sierra Leone because of Islamic religion. 3 countries, Ghana, Gambia, Liberia, they are the only one that is not having problem. The remaining countries are having shit. They are having terrorism attack. So we will not want to lose Ghana because of some people who don't want to abide with rules and regulation. She's a Burkinabe. Please deport her. Make sure you deport her with her cow. So let her come and claim her right in her country. Come and use your country. Come and use your cow to disturb Ibrahim in Ouagadougou. Okay? You have your right. 100% you have your right when it comes to your country, but not in Ghana. Okay? And all the pressure you are putting on Ghana government, it will not work. Because we will not leave the government of Ghana to be destabilized just the way you destabilize Nigerian government. We don't want to longer lose any country for you foolers just because you are too stubborn. You don't want to listen. You are not the only tribe we have in West Africa, but you are the only one making problem. Only one making problem. Guinea, you make problem. Nigeria, you destabilize Nigeria. Everybody can testify to it. You don't need anybody to speak English on your behalf. You fool, you destabilize Nigeria. Even Nigerians are now afraid to go to their country because of you guys. You started the trouble. The reason why Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is in problem today is because of you, because you started terrorizing and he started making videos, and that is the reason why Nigeria is a country whereby everybody want to just destroy. Everybody are tired and want to go. It's because of you Fulani in the northern Nigeria. And you don't like the truth, but you keep doing evil. You don't want nobody to speak. 2026 we will go to hold your brokers. We don't give a fuck about how you are going to feel. If you know you like to do evil, we are here. We can speak. And now you go and buy your phone and speak too. Let the world judge. Okay? We don't have gun. We only speak, but you only cry. They don't like us. They don't.
Whoa. That was a huge reveal from this young lady. She said so much. That they like say she just, they dismantle a particular ethnic group with what she talk. Say we get how many countries, about 15 countries of West Africa, almost all of them they in crisis, and saying a Fulani Muslims now they cause the crisis for most of these places. I think that's a serious allegation, sir.
Yes, it is. The Fulani War is not particularly tied to any one country. It's across the Sahel. Okay? It started in Central African Republic before it moved down after they were routed there in 2010, and then moved to Mali. And they were defeated in Mali. There was the 2015 peace agreement, which I then urged President Buhari and others to sign on to and implement if they could. But they did not. Buhari then sought, instead of implementing, to bring the foreign refugees to Nigeria. And as he brought them down and they started committing crimes, that was when the Hausa vigilantes, the Yansakai, set on upon them. And that's how the reference you hear from Minister Matawale. And the crisis went from Mali, in central Mali, as the Fulani were fighting against the Dogons. The army took over power, sided with the Dogons, and then left. And it spread through there to Burkina Faso, through the Gambia, Sierra Leone, Senegal. And the Ghanaian government then gave instructions that if anybody sees any Fulani cattle on the road, it should be massacred, that nobody should be allowed to graze their cattle on the road. So that crisis has since moved down to Nigeria, and Nigeria seems to be where the Fulani have now made their Waterloo. It is in Nigeria, as the Fulani war spread through the Sahel, that the United States soldiers have now intervened for the first time to stop the Fulani. in their war across the side. And this is the reason why a lot of us in Nigeria were afraid that no Fulani should be allowed to succeed Buhari because they would be still be interested in continuing the war. And that's why in Nigeria, nobody, all of us are campaigning against the return of any Fulani until we're able to quell this Fulani crisis across the Sahel, and most especially in Nigeria. And that's what it is. And we must do everything we can to stop any of them being voted back to power in any way possible.
How possible is this, considering that they, have the numbers like they always say? I realize something we Ghana do too. I'm not sure say Ghana allow any ethnic Fulani, elections, election right or right to be voted for inside Ghana. The last time I heard they said they were even pleading to be part of, made them begin, participate for election, but Ghana never agreed them yet. How possible is that? That Nigeria did not notice to take proactive action. Not saying that we should eliminate a particular ethnic group, no, but to curb these excesses and meet them on the board before it go this far. Was it that we lacked vision? What happened to us?
Well, it's an issue of courage. You have to find courage to do what the Ghanaians have done. You have to find courage to do what the people have done in Mali. But if you're also not united among your indigenous people, then it may be very difficult to fight these people who come to invade our lands from neighboring countries. If you have local Fulanis who are collaborating with them, just like you've seen here, they have organizations like the Miete Allah Hore, the Tabital Pulaku, and of course, the Miete Allah Cattle Breeders Association, all of them acting as conduits for bringing in these killers. And you see Miete Allah and Co going to television to argue that these are just farmers' headers crisis. There's nothing like that. It's not true. This is pure land grab protocols, and that's what you saw as Buhari was pleading for land. The reason for all this flooding crisis is the need for land. They seek land to be able to bring new wave of populations. A lot of them even who left the war in Yemen traveled down here to seek where to stay. Those who left the war in central Mali came to Nigeria. And when there was no space for them to stay, they now embrace this strategy of industrial scale ethnic cleansings through this jihad, which has now been arrested by the Americans. As we believe, yes, the sudden resurgence of the violence, I believe, can be taken care of by the arrival of the American troops in our country. Because the game was the Nigerian government were told to take care of these killings, stop the jihadists in 60 days. But of course, you see, Nigerian government weren't able to do these things. And that was why the Americans came in here on Christmas time. Because the Nigerian government, in some places, are complicit, in some places, outrightly incompetent in calibrating a response to the crisis. And in some places, like you see in Kaduna, like you see in Katsina, the local authorities and government are openly complicit in this jihad. And so I think it's a good thing that we finally woken up
Sir,
by.
they will say it's an allegation on them or saying that they're complicit in
There is
this.
nothing wrong with an allegation. Denial is historically a mainstay of this people. There's nothing wrong with denials. The Americans heard about it. The Americans also hear allegations. No, this is true. The Americans have solid, actionable intelligence. And this intelligence are the things we've seen and been talking about. So if what they do is to deny and then they continue, we've just discussed now about the escalation of crisis in Kwara and in Kogi. That's what we're discussing. So how can you deny such? How can you deny such? How can you deny the killings? How can you deny the activities in Benue, in Plateau, in Taraba, in Southern Kaduna? How can you deny that? But of course, criminals will at all times deny when they are accused of acts which have been openly right there before everybody's face. The denials in the face of visible Fulani atrocities doesn't vitiate or change the facts. You can deny for all you want, but we know the truth is this is what it is. As the Nigerian government tried to deny and the Fulani leader tried to deny, the Americans came in. Is the Nigerian government still denying? No, it's not denying. It is currently cooperating with the United States administration so as to bring this down. When you now talked about the kidnappings of 162 people, the killing of 171, are those denials? No, this is reality. But of course, we shouldn't be daunted by their acts trying to deny what is visible for everyone to see. And that's why I told you earlier, we will not get into a war of narratives. They will state their game through denials. We will state our position by sharing the empirical intelligence and facts that are open there in the public space. Don't worry what they say. They will continue to deny. It is called takia. Takia is a way of life for those people. But it doesn't mean we should keep quiet. No, we should not. Okay? These denials are historically what they do. There is nothing new about it. So what I would say is that people should not worry when they hear about these denials. It is in their blood to deny these things. And we who are suffering from these actions would not stop in trying to speak to the world honestly about these issues. Don't forget, they have in this country, these people, a deep rooted culture of denial. Don't forget that. Okay? The Nigerian government approach to this manifest Fulani terrorism has been to go into denial. So even those who are rabid liars with ethnic affinity to have terrorism and who are very used to it, if you tell them they be boasting of how their fathers did jihad in the past, and they are now doing jihad, and when we call it jihad, they say no. And they start telling you something else. So we should not be afraid to state the truth. We should always embrace courage in saying that we have experienced, and that is known to quite a lot of people, most especially if we capture these actions on cameras.
All right, sir. So a lot of things that worry people. Let me quickly let Nigerians know that phone lines are open because I would like today's session to be very interactive. People don't always want to ask you questions, but they barely get time. And that's why I thought to start early so that they would have time to ask their questions. Nigerians phone lines are open. Please kindly call the number 0817-029-4077, or you follow the link on the pinned post and get straight into the studio and join us right here in the studio. So one of the things that people don't they talk about are the political permutations because of these things really happen. We hear our people they talk, say they argue, say no, they pleased by President Tinubu's acceptance of the US plea. And remember, we also had to go to Turkey too to get something that looks like an agreement in that sort too. In fact, people don't even like him. The Turkey issues have say President Tinubu get to obey Sheikh Gumi because Sheikh Gumi had suggested that we seek help from Turkey and other countries. Where do you think this whole issue of US intervention in the Nigerian crisis and the continuous attack, where do you think it leaves Tinubu for 2027?
Well, I will say it's not surprising for sponsors and patrons of society's terrorism to remember their old ally, Turkey, that had been known to supply Boko Haram with weapons.
Yay.
We know Turkey's role in being ready to help in converting Nigeria to a Muslim dominated country. And we don't have to stop. Luckily for us, the United States are here. I repeat, the US are here. And Nigerians are happy for the arrival of the US troops. We're happy specifically because a lot of us who are very, very afraid to speak up for fear of what the government may do due to the government's complicity in this genocidal actions are happy. We are happy that the Americans are here. You're going to see a lot happen. And I can reassure Nigerians that a lot of what will happen to Nigeria's politics going forward will be determined by the presence of Americans in Nigeria. So I think people shouldn't be moved, daunted, or
Eh,
discouraged by the
eh,
denial.
but people don't talk a lot of things. I mean, I had a Plateau State a lawyer from Plateau State here within the week, and I still ask him that question. Say, people they talk, say the US don't get your best interest at heart. They are here for their own selfish reasons. If they are here, they may just be here or be involved for their own selfish reasons. Why do we think that the US will leave their own country and care more about us? But do you know what the lawyer told me? I don't know what your response would be. He said that the people that are being killed, that their homeland has been taken from. In fact, he mentioned particular communities in Plateau State. He said that area, see, they get the lushest of vegetation. That the place is so fine and all that. You go to say na Yankee you day. That those areas, some of those areas too, have been taken over by these people. And the fact that government is not making effort to reintegrate people or chase away those people there and all that. That people who have had their family members killed over and over again have their homelands as an ancestral lands taken away. That they don't care who saves them. They don't even care if it's somebody who has a selfish interest. They just want to be saved. But I'd like to take your opinion, diplomatically speaking, and in terms of geopolitics. Do you think the United States may have our best interest at heart?
The United States are here. In terms of geopolitics,
Hmm.
the Russians are in Niger, the Russians are in Burkina Faso, the Russians are in Mali. So,
Yes.
geopolitically calculating, the Americans have every reason to be in Nigeria, and they're here. So, even if the geopolitical calculations are there, the killings, the genocidal killings by the jihadists, have been a very perfect reason for the Americans to find an alibi for which to come to Nigeria. And Nigeria being a very divided country currently, a lot of Nigerians welcome this America. Who are the people against American presence? The Fulani. The Fulani. And maybe diehard supporters of the government who fear that the presence of the Americans would undermine their intention to perpetuate themselves in power. That the Americans may demand some kind of free and fair election. So I do not think that people have any need to worry about the coming of the Americans. It is better that Nigerians are occupied by the Americans than Nigeria is occupied by the jihadists.
Hmm. All right. We get a caller, and I know saying won't ask you a question, but just a quick one. What do you make of Malami's the accusations, the charges that they don't put on top of his head. He's being charged for sponsoring terrorism, possession of firearms. Now, for sponsoring terrorism, what are the things that they hold them for? Now, say in gets account of people where they sponsor terrorism, and he release them without any explanation as the Attorney General of the Federation, and they see that as complicity, according to what they read out as complicity. And we know that we've had names given to us by UAE. We even had people that the Ali Kefi, General Ali Kefi, said they arrested for sponsoring terrorism too. So why do you think this happened, sir? Why do you what do you make of the accusation where they put on top of Malami head as sponsoring terrorism?
Malami acted to give actions and joy to President Buhari. This jihad is President Buhari's pet project. And Malami worked for Buhari. Malami was at the head of the group that was paying the terrorists. Malami also was the person who refused to prosecute these terrorists when we got names from Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and the United Arab Emirates. So Malami's sins are plenty. And we have seen that, yes, if the current administration is serious about terrorism, it has to bring in people like Malami and those others that were patrons and sponsors of terrorism. Are you not surprised that now that the names are published, you don't see a single name in the East? Malami and those like him were the people also sponsoring the Biafra Now movement in the East. There were about 37 different Biafra Now organizations sponsored by Buhari and his people so that they will have the alibi to come to the East and kill a lot of young people for what? Revenge. Because they claim that General Hejirika was very harsh on Boko Haram. We thought Boko Haram was seen nationally as a terrorist organization. No. They see Boko Haram and the Fulani militia as their freedom fighters. So what is it that they seek to achieve with terrorists? I don't know. Malami has a lot of questions to answer. You
I
know,
see. Go ahead, sir. Go ahead, sir. When are you to line?
what I'm trying to say is what you see happening between Malami and people in government is a family affair. Okay? Because they are all members of the same party who have now fallen out of love with themselves. It is a family affair. And when you see APC, whole APC people like Malami, and charge them for terrorism, they know what you're saying. Don't forget that.
Mm.
They
Mm.
know what they're, yes, they know themselves. These people know themselves. It's just when you forget that these people, that everybody know everybody, and you start forming what doesn't sit well with your old allies. Of course, they know your secrets. They know what all of you were doing before. They can simply single you out and use you as a scapegoat for what they know others were also doing. But those who were also doing what Malami was doing are currently not as offensive as Malami is to the current administration. Don't ever allow your ass to be the one that is probed with finger. There is no ass probed with finger that will not see shit in it. Now they're probing Malami's ass. So let us pipe some popcorn, relax, to enjoy this Malami's movie that has only just started playing. Remember, we are working Emefele's movie, is them. That's why I said, don't let them use you in interrogating anything. They will find it. So let Malami get a piece of his own medicine. The same Malami that was charging Nandekano as Assembly Attorney General for terrorism is the same person that was sponsoring terrorism. Don't forget, the minute Malami left government, the minute the Buhari administration ended, the unknown government sting operation in the East ceased because it was a government covert operation.
Hmm.
And in thinking about that, remember what Abacha said.
Sir, can we prove this?
Abacha said that if terrorism persists for more than 72 hours, people in government have a hand in it.
That's what Abacha talk. But we go fit prove
I
am. If the
don't need
content
to.
of this we dey talk now, make we prove am.
I don't need any proving. We who live here can see it. We can see it. The problem of the Bauchi state government was the same thing. In order to make Buhari and Malami happy, the governor started releasing money to terrorists working under the banner of Bieti Allah. Today, officials of the Bauchi state government have been interrogated by the EFCC. Today, the governor is hinting that he may cross over to APC so that his sins will be forgiven in the if you follow the Oshomole doctrine of if you come to APC, your sins are forgiven. So there are several doctrines that we're dealing with.
All
Not
right.
only the more, yes.
All right. So Nigerians phone lines are open 0817029477 or follow the link on the pinned post and get straight into the studio. And also the remaining questions what I get for Dr. Katin and I go help me
Hello,
ask them.
Precious.
Good evening to you, Marvelous. Welcome.
Yeah, good evening. So, am I okay to speak now?
Yes, you can speak and Dr. Kat can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Dr. Kash. Yeah.
Thank you.
My first question is this, yeah. We should note the question now because I want those questions to be answered, yeah, please. My first question is this. Between the civilian rule and the military coup, yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Because on the same civilian rule, the democracy, so-called democracy, the rigging, what is the difference between the rigging and the men in the uniform? Because I see them as the same. Because it's all they force their way into power, right? They both force their way into power. Because
all right, just go ahead with your question without explanation. Just go ahead, and I'm sure Dr. Kat will do
so
justice for it.
that's the first question.
So between military coup and what you term as civilian coup through rigging of election, which one will better pass? Oh yeah, in
that's the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the difference. That's number one. And again, the issue of this. Okay, I will ask the question: why did Jonathan then? Because I know the current president now was having an issue with the EFCC then, right? During the Jonathan era, and he was made to sit on the dock. Am I correct?
That's what? Who sat on the dock?
The current president now.
Yeah,
when he was arraigned, during the Jonathan era.
Over what? Tinubu was arraigned during Jonathan.
Alleged corruptions as well.
Tinubu was arraigned during Jonathan for corruption.
Yeah, for corruption issue, for corruption charges. But how that case was disappeared, what they did to make that case disappeared, I don't know. So it was even there's a picture for it. Search on the Google. You see, he was sitting on. He was even arranging the courts. He was even sitting on the dock. So, but how the case was working, the agreement between them and the government then that made that case disappear, nobody knows. Right?
Go ahead.
I believe Dr. Kash should know about that. Dr. Kash should know about this.
Just go ahead and finish with the questions so that others can also ask questions.
Good. So that's the second one. So the third one, this is a bit of explanation as well. I feel that Jonathan has a hand that where Nigeria is now. How did we get to this place? I believe that for me, I think that he has a lot of things to do to be able to stop it, but he refused to take the necessary action that should have stopped these people coming to power. Why do I say so? Because when you refuse the American, then I think some disagreement between them and America, then Russia on the other side, they want their own as well. Because if you refuse the America, I believe maybe you should have, maybe one way or the other, maybe seek an agreement with the Russians as well, right? Or he didn't. He was like, he just stay idle like that. I think that was how, before you know, now it was dead. It was, the power was taken from him, right? So that's for that. And the fourth one is that this evening again, I read on the news again that Putin is accusing France. That France is the one sponsoring terrorism in Africa.
Who is accusing France?
Putin, the Russian president, is accusing the France president that they are the one sponsoring terrorism in Africa. They are the one destabilizing Africa at the moment. They are the ones sponsoring terrorism.
Just go ahead and conclude your thoughts here.
So, is that true or not? Does France have hands on what is going on in Africa regarding this terrorism as well? Regarding this and everything as well?
All right, thank you so much. Let Dr. Katch respond. Dr. Katch, I don't know if you got all the questions.
Yes, which of them specifically? There were several questions.
Several. He wants all answered, so I don't know where we'd start from. We can begin from
okay. The question of the coups and military and civilian, none of it is good. Anything that undermines the organized transfer of power in line with popular expression of preference, it's wrong, must be condemned and must be discouraged. I believe that the right way to change government is through elections. So if the election civilian is fraudulently organized through violent voter suppression like we saw in 2023, I condemn it. If it's organized by soldiers working as proxies for politicians who are not happy, as we saw in Nigeria, I also condemn it.
Okay, sir. All right. So his second question is around. He said, "Why was Tinubu arraigned for corruption during Jonathan's administration? Did that ever happen?"
Yes, I saw that. Tinubu served as
Was it
governor.
not the Code of Conduct's Bureau issue? Was it for corruption? I don't know.
Yes, Tinubu was arraigned by Code of Conduct. He served for 8 years as governor of Lagos State. So it's difficult to serve, and there are no questions asked during interrogations. That happened, and I think that's within the law. If it was dropped later on, there must be a reason why the government did drop it. So, well, for all I know, Tinubu served as 8 years governor of Lagos State. And if there are questions to be asked him in regards to his service, and that's what he's talking about, when he was arraigned and he was in that box, we saw him. I don't see anything. It's not abnormal. The courts should continue to have the powers to interrogate politicians after their tenure if there are probable reasons to ask them questions. There's nothing wrong with that. Tinubu wasn't docked, yes. I knew that time. I was here in Abuja during that period. That is right. It did happen.
Okay. All right. So very quickly, I think I see a story concerning that where I think the former Attorney General, Michael Aondoaka, AGF, Attorney General Adokin spoke about it. He said that he personally fought for the trial of Tinubu. He remember, he said A former Lagos State Governor Bola Tinubu escaped federal government appeal of the victory of the Code of Conduct Tribunal due to the benevolence of a former Attorney General of the Federation, Bello Adoke. The letter has claimed. Now, Adoke said in an interview with the Cable that he prevailed on the Nigerian government to step down appeal process against the Tinubu after the tribunal in 2011, and this statement was in 2012. After the tribunal in 2011, or it was in 2017 he made a statement. But then after the tribunal in 2011 had quashed the APC chieftain's trial for alleged operation of foreign accounts and maybe not, in a code of conduct, he operates foreign accounts and maybe reveal all his assets and all of those issues. I hope that answers his questions. And then very quickly, he did mention why, that Russia had accused France of being responsible for the insecurity in Nigeria, sorry, in West Africa. And that, do you think that is correct that France may have a hand in what's going on in West Africa?
Yes, the French are known to sponsor terrorism in West Africa.
Wow.
The French are also known to plan destabilization in West Africa. The French are also known to be linked to attempt to use coup d'etat to remove certain governments in West Africa.
Hmm.
This kind of dirty plots that bring about regime change is not new. A lot of Western countries do it in Africa. So, but the French has been the worst in terms of doing and plotting and practicing such regime change actions and insecurity actions, just like the terrorism act of it. The French have been very, very mean and dishonestly wicked to West Africa in particular. I
Okay.
condemn the actions of the French
All right. So very quickly, he asked, why did Jonathan relinquish power or allow APC win? We wouldn't have been in this mess. Perhaps that's what he said.
because Jonathan had credible intelligence that the Obama was desperate to get rid of him. Obama was willing to start violence to get rid of Jonathan if Jonathan had been declared winner. And that was why Jonathan said that his continued stay in power should not be at the expense of blood of
Any
fellow
Niger.
Nigerians. That
Hmm.
was the reason why he did that. He had credible intelligence that there were militias, according to the APC people, numbering up to 5,000, that have been brought into Nigeria to destabilize Jonathan and probably kill him.
Hmm.
So that was why he quickly called and to relinquish power. He relinquished power under duress. And we now think that's now gone to the history books.
All right, so phone lines are still open. Nigeria 0817029477. What do you make of Nambakana's case? He's now appealed. In fact, asking that the terrorism, charges against him be brought down. And then, of course, his lawyer is also saying that Ogamalami, life don't serve you 1-1. You carry Nambakano, God don't give you. I say, oh, guy, your lawyer, he's the one that said it too. Okay, I just thought to let you know. Ijimako said that. So, what do you make of what's going on with Nnamdi Kanu based on Malami's the revelation of Malami's um, trials or
Well, Malami, Malami, the problem between Nnamdi Kanu and the Buhari administration is very, very uh, confusing. I know it was Malami himself that was sponsoring terrorism, but it wasn't Nnamdi Kanu that Malami now arrested to say he was a terrorist. But you can see now. And I think the reason is a lot transpired that a lot of Nigerians do not know. When Nnamdi Kanu came openly against the government, there were a lot of people who worked with Nnamdi Kanu, like Uche Mefo, Asari Dokubo, and Co, who now ran to the side of the government and were now working with the government and even helped to perpetrate the unknown government covert operation on behalf of the government. I don't really know the level of interaction between Nnamdi Kanu's group and the government for us to now see that a lot of those who previously worked with him suddenly were now seen as agents of the Buhari administration. Quite a lot of them. And that's why I also saw that there are things that are not explained. Why Malami was sponsoring the terrorism the way he was. You can see now, we're now reducing information based on international trackings of money. And we have seen how the monies that were tracked were actually monies for terrorism financing. We have not seen any of that money attributed to Nnamdi Kanu, but we've seen a lot of that money attributed to those who walked around Buhari. That's why I tell you, that's further evidence that it was members of the Buhari administration that were perpetrating and calibrating the terrorism and the kidnappings. So I think Nnamdi Kanu should be treated fairly. If the Fulanese and others who are held in prisons, in cells, and detention centers in Katsina and Kaduna are released free of charge from their cells, having been held for terrorism, what then does the government have holding Nnamdi Kanu for terrorism? When they are the ones actually doing the terrorism, and Nnamdi is simply the distraction that they wanted to put these things on. I think the government should, for the sake of fairness, not allow the continued perpetration of these double standards. You hold the Fulani who are clearly terrorists, who claim that government aided their action, you release them from cells in Katsina and in Kaduna states. But the one who said he didn't do any terrorism, that you are insisting that you actually caused to be arrested in Kenya, extradited to Nigeria in an extraordinary rendition. And you now say he's doing terrorism. Yeah, those doing terrorism here, which we've seen that has killed Nigerians in frightening numbers, are the ones that the government seems to be giving the freedom that they do not deserve. This is unfair, and I condemn it in its entirety.
T.Y. Danjuma, good evening. Sorry, there's a bit of noise in my background. T.Y. Danjuma, good evening and welcome. Go ahead. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, Precious. Good evening, Doctor. How are you?
Thank you very much. It's good to see you today.
Thank you. Thank you for always honoring the invitation to be at the platform. And the contributions have always been very cerebral and informative. Thank you. Quick question. I want to find out from you what actually is the problem in the Middle Belt. Because if you look at the genocide that has been going on since 2009, you look at the number of people who have been killed, it will outnumber the number of people who have been killed even in conventional warfare. So looking at the fact that the Middle Belt has quite a lot of retired military officers, I'm wondering why it's been difficult? What is the challenge that they have to be able to organize themselves, arm themselves, and fight, and defend their communities against this onslaught by these terrorists? That's my question. Thank you.
Very simple. They lack courage. You see, some of them spoke up, like T.Y. Danjo, but the rest of them were just afraid. You don't need anybody's permission because the Fulani didn't take permission from anybody to organize themselves. If they had acted just like the ones in the East acted, remember Sunday Igboho, remember Nandekano, they simply acted proactively to secure their areas, and that is their offense. Maybe they don't want to be treated the way government treated Sunday Igboho, and Nandekano. That may have been what led to their being afraid to react. The Middle Belt itself became a place that the Fulani wanted to take right from 1974. After the Nigerian government nationalized the properties of foreign companies through the indigenization decree, they started living Kaduna and started living Jos. Jubilee in Jos became empty, and that was when the Fulani started thinking they can take Jos. It got escalated during the Buhari administration. When the crisis happened, the Fulani war that started in Central African Republic brought a lot of refugees. So instead of Buhari to try to work with other West African leaders to implement peace agreements in Central African Republic or even the 2015 peace agreement in Mali, he sought to bring those Fulanis to Nigeria. So when they came to Nigeria, Buhari tried to gain land for them through the Grazing Reserve Bill, which was shut down by Nigerian legislators. He also tried with protocols and acrobatics like the Ruga thing you had. Buhari tried with programs like the consolidation of underground and surface water, plus the embarking land law. It was shut down, it failed. He talked about grazing routes. It was defeated in the legislature. And when those things didn't work, that was when Buhari and the Fulani leadership said, instead of begging for land, remember, after Buhari's special advisor came to television to say that Nigerians should consider giving up their land or they might lose their lives trying to keep the land. Remember that? Femi Adesina said that on television. And then the Fulani leaders decided now to form militias, which they now use for the ethnic cleansing actions as a strategy to gain these lands. And that's why you now saw the waves of ethnic cleansings in southern Kaduna, in Plateau, in Gimbu, the Mambila Plains, in Benue. And these things they were not done in the dark, they were done in the open. But because the action has the active support of the Buhari administration, then you now saw a government that was complicit in these genocidal jihadist actions by the Fulani militias that saw that. If you check Boko Haram, the Boko Haram run by the Kanuris specifically stayed in the northeast, seeking to create an Islamic caliphate in Borno State and the other places. But the Fulani militias sought to take land of the people of the Middle Belt, and that's why you saw those industrial scale ethnic cleansings in Benue State, specifically because Benue has water along the Benue Basin, and it has special species of the elephant grass that the Fulani cows loved. Same thing with Plateau. Jos has weather that's similar to that of parts of United States, like Houston. Jos is like Houston. And that's why you saw they like that kind of weather. You know, Houston also has weather like the Mambila Plateau. Same like places in Benue, Lavandake, Akwande, and all leading to the border with Cross River State. This is the reason they now embarked to take land of the Middle Belt people. And that's why you saw as they were doing those ethnic cleansings, killing the people in genocidal crusades, those who are not killed are headed into IDP camps. And that's why when the Americans came and we traveled to Benue, we saw a concentration camp of over 600,000 people staying in one concentration camp as internally displaced persons. And the Americans said, for seeing this in Benue, there's no need for them to go to Plateau nor Kaduna. They have seen enough. And so they returned. And as they returned back to the United States, telling Trump that they saw more atrocities than what they were told in Washington. That's when Trump now decided to start the bombings on Christmas Day. Today, as we speak, the American soldiers have arrived in Nigeria with foot on the ground because the Nigerian government has not been able to remove the Fulani jihadists who are now occupying lands in over 64 communities in Plateau. The governor said they've reached about 100 communities added because even when you say you're going to stop them, they will double down. And with the government not available to protect lives and properties of its citizens, these jihadist activities continue in the Middle Belt. So I would say the absence of courage on the part of the Middle Belt retirees is the reason most of them became quiet. But if you checked in the South, Sunday Igboho and Nnamdi Kanu were able to organize militias, and that was why they came after Nnamdi Kanu. That was why they came after Sunday Igboho, because the government was complicit in the ethnic cleansing actions of the Fulani militias. So as I said earlier, the Boko Haram that was manned by the Kanuris stayed in North Central. ISWAP that was manned by Ibro Okene people were busy killing people around Kwara State, Ondo State, just like the Iwo massacre that was by ISWAP. And ISWAP is dominated about 90-95% by Igbira people. But the Fulani militias were the ones who were now doing a countrywide ethnic cleansing to seize land from everybody because they have need for land. They are not Nigerians. Most of them spoke Bambara and French. They don't speak English. And you see where they go, they say Allah Akbar before they start killing people in the Middle Belt. So in regards to that, I will tell you the absence of courage amongst those retired officers is the reason they were not able to react to this existential threat that was visited upon their people.
One more question. It looks like in all this, it looks like there is a Hausa conspiracy because the House has also, if they had stood and resisted, this thing would probably not have gotten the way the Kanuris resisted. This thing would not have gotten as bad as it is today. What do you think?
That's wrong. You're wrong. When the British left Nigeria at independence, the Kanuris ended up gaining governance because even when the Sheikh of Borno donated soldiers to the British that was used as the seed element of the West African Frontier Force, the Kanuris had autonomous governance of their area. But when our fathers started fighting for independence, the Hausas did not fight because when the Fulanis were hired by the British after the 1885 Berlin Conference to help supervise the Hausa in what we regarded in history as indirect rule, there were no agitations in Hausa land for independence. So when the British left the South, they left the Fulani still to continue to colonize the Hausa. And that's why today, no Hausa man is emir anywhere in Hausa land. So you need to understand that the fact that the Hausas did not fight, it's only now, as I'm talking to you, that the Hausas are beginning to organize with their Yansakai militias. The Hausas did not have that capacity. And every time, so how can you do that when the Fulani continue to dominate the Hausas by colonizing their lands? But the people in the South had freedoms, even though it was undermined by the sustained Fulani state in Nigeria. Don't forget, they're historically not indigenous to Nigeria. So the British used them to help the British do the indirect rule over Hausa land. And when the British were leaving, the British still left them there. And that's why most people said the British designed Nigeria to fail. And that's why the country has failed. Who brought the crisis? It is the Fulani that started their settler colonialism, ramping it up, advancing to the Middle Belt, and then started the jihad. And as they say, the rest is history.
Thank you,
All
Doctor.
right.
Thank you,
All right,
Precious.
thank you so much. So, Dr. Catch, while we're here, President's wife is in the United States, so she attends the prayer session for inside United States, and she was just recognized by Donald Trump. And here's what Donald Trump had to say about the president.
Honored to be joined today by the First Lady of Nigeria, who also happens to serve as a Christian pastor at the largest. Honored to be joined today by the First Lady of Nigeria, who also happens to serve as a Christian pastor. Honored to be joined today by the First Lady of Nigeria, who also happens to serve as a Christian pastor at the largest church in Nigeria, a very respected woman. First Lady, please, where are you? Thank you very much. It's a great honor. Thank you very much. Very respected person, too. Thank you.
Wow, wow, very lovely, dear, very lovely. So you feel say the attendance of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, our First Lady, Madam Remi Tinubu, to this prayer session for inside United States. Sorry about the noise in my background. And the fact that Trump recognized her as a pastor of one of the biggest churches in Nigeria. You feel say you go fit, make US Melembe calm down for our matter. Understanding now that we also have Christian. Trump had often said that the Muslim administration of Nigeria, the Muslim, but now you don't see say the wife of the president now, pastor. So you not think say go fit make him step down, sir?
Those things cannot move any needle. The Americans have good intelligence about what's going on. If she's a redeemed pastor, don't forget the Redeemed Church supported Buhari, even while the jihad was going on. Don't forget that. The Redeemed Christian Church supported Buhari, even while the jihad was on, under the PPC administration. So it really don't mean nothing. These are churches that are just there, like the churches in Turkey, which actively participated in the conversion of Turkey from a Christian country to an Islamic country. Most of these people are not what you take. So forget about that. They can go attend prayer sessions as they want. The politics will not allow them to defend the church.
Okay, so there is nothing. But people, say we don't spend 9 million naira to use make sure say we calm down narrative, sir.
No. The 9 million naira is nothing compared to the capacity of the Jewish lobby who are actually in front of urging Trump to intervene in Nigeria. Don't forget how this started. So no matter what money Tinubu spends for PR, I don't think Tinubu's money will be able to compete with the influence of the Jewish law. If you
Israel.
understand,
Israel.
yes, yes. The Israeli lobby were the people who brought this to the attention of the United States president. There are politicians from Nigeria who are Muslims come to Washington and New York lambasting Israel for its handling of activities in the occupied territories. Yet, these are the ones committing heavy atrocities against Christians in Nigeria. So Trump decided to explore that option and found out that true, what they were told in Washington about the stench of atrocities being committed by these Muslims in Nigeria is worse than what they saw when they came down. If it is not a complicit Muslim group or people in government, what will make them be comfortable that millions of Christians are living in IDP camps, headed into concentration camps, and while Muslims take over their ancestral lands, take over their villages, take over their farmlands, and this Muslim leader, that's a problem about trying to force Muslim ticket so that Muslims can do what they want. After Muslims have done coup and then calibrated all sorts of decrees to hand advantage to Muslims in a Christian majority country, and then because you don't allow for free and fair election, you put Muslims and then force them upon us and then continue the jihad. So that's why a lot of us Christians are very happy that Americans and Israelis are taking interest in Nigerian affairs. So no matter how much money the president of Nigeria spends in Washington for lobby, he will never be able to outclass the Jewish lobby who are working with President Trump on America's intervention in Nigeria.
Yes, good evening and welcome. Please go ahead.
Yeah, mine is, I wanted to just quickly answer a question where your guest asked. That question was not properly answered, but I just want to try and see if I can answer it quickly. Number one, on the issue of that Tinubu's case, the case was actually in Ibushiri. He had an issue with Alpha Beta that they were in court. And the reason why that case did not continue was because the court was born, Ibushiri, particularly near Obalande in Lagos, when the court was born, all the judgments that were there, his file were born. If you remember during NSAS, some people even went to carry the staff of office for Oba of Lagos. It was on the internet, it went viral. So that was how those courts were born. So most of his case, nobody could use that one. And that was why he was able to contest this election and he was able to win. That was number one. And then number two, that 2011, there was a pact that he signed with No Ribadu. Because actually Ribadu was in ACN. I mean, is it ACN? There was a party. He was their candidate. But Tinubu signed a deal with Goodluck Jonathan. And after the deal that he had with Goodluck Jonathan, he now sacrificed that he had all the Lagosians to vote for PDP. And that was why Goodluck Jonathan was able to win his second term. Is it his first term?
His first term. After he completed Yaradua's term.
After completing Yaradua, exactly. So that was the political strategy they used. And then quickly, the issue of Goodluck, the reason why Goodluck did not really succeed very well, me and you know that he is a minority tribe. He was a minority tribe. And
so because he's a minority, that's why he did not succeed.
That's why in fact, when Boko Haram started, Are you aware that I once told you that in all the biggest mosques in the north are all headed by Fulani, even up to now. But for the first time, something dramatically happened when the Hausa started protesting. Are you aware that the chief imam of the Abuja mosque, is an Igbo? Are you aware?
So you have to be quick here. I have some
Yeah, so that's
intrusion
what
on
I'm
my
just trying to say.
background, so it may not be so
Yeah,
clear. So kindly be quick.
yeah, so I just want to say that you guys are doing a good job. Let me just be snappy so that others can call. Dr. Kachi and Tiwa Dadjuma, you guys are doing a good job. And I always want to say that the statement made by the real Tiwa Dadjuma, General Dadjuma, was saying that if the armed forces are not neutral, they are not neutral. And that's why most of those armies, military men, are loyalists to most of those sheikh, like Sheikh Gumi. Sheikh Gumi even have his own children. They can also be part of their cells who are supplying intel, like the way they betrayed the Martin when the king went to report. So we want our country to be better. I want you to help me tell Kaji, Dr. Kaji, to analyze on if for this country to be on track again, how can other people organize themselves? Because all these cool gimmicks, like people like Atiku who have been contested since
Rose,
1993, we
water,
don't need people
water.
like that. So we need a revitalization where people even in the church, in mosque, young people like Hausa people. I want to see more of them. I want to see Igbos get more into politics. I want to see young people come into politics. How can we take that?
Thank you. Thank you so much. Dr. Katch, I don't know if you heard what he said. Sorry, there's a bit of noise in my background. Did you hear some of the things he said?
Reform his words to me, please.
Okay, so he did mention that one of the ways this case against Tinubu was quashed was after the burning of the Bushere Magistrates Court, where the case files were domiciled, or case files were domiciled. Remember the burning of the Bushere Magistrates Court. So most of the
Yes.
documents where the case there burned there and then squashed the case from there. And then he also did mention that, and then again, he struck a deal um, with Jonathan to support Jonathan for 2011 against Nuhu Ribadu. Remember, Nuhu Ribadu was in ACN contesting at that time. You understand? So he said that's another way that case was truncated. And then he said, I should ask you a question that what do you think? How do you think if we can recalibrate this country? How can we get the different regions to come together for this country to get back to winning ways? You know, especially other tribes that they call minority tribes and, you know, the bigger tribes like Southeast. So how can they all come together to make sure that we recalibrate the country? What's your opinion and suggestion on what we can do?
I believe, like every society in history, we have reached our period of epiphany. That's where we are right now.
Period of waiting, Epiphany.
Yes, epiphany.
Yay.
We have we've gained right now. We've gained a lot of knowledge. We've gotten awareness, and in a way, unexpectedly, we should be grateful to Buhari because Buhari's weaponization of nepotism, his jihad, and the pains the jihad brought through his ferocious killings by the Fulani militias seems to unite Nigerians now in pain. So, yes, that unintendedly, for me, has brought us together to start thinking this way. I was yesterday with some thieves people from Benue State, and they were telling me that in the case of a partitioning of the country, that the TV will love to merge with the Igbo. Is the truth. A lot of people will like to align themselves to this issue of joining with the old Eastern Nigeria. One, it has resources, human resources, material resources, and even prospective resources. So if the Muslims in the far north, represented by the Fulani, do not want a country that will work in respecting equality. I don't think there's anything difficult in us working with Israelis and Americans to seek separation. When we get that separation, we will all still belong to both the African Union and ECOWAS. I think we have, this is that epiphany moment for us. If we can now grab the chance, it's the first time since the British left that we're having foreign troops in our country. The American intervention presents us a fortuitous opportunity to reset ourselves as a society. A lot of us are saying if the Fulani think that they have captured Nigeria as they thought they will do, in the words of Ahmadu Bello, aggressively prevent any other person from ruling and only them to rule through instrumentations like you have seen, using the coups and then the calibrations from officers during the coups to foist manuals on us as constitutions, and now a jihad. If we cannot live together as peaceful people, there's nothing wrong with us seeking separation. That's where I believe we will still live together peacefully, be able to develop at our own pace as we choose as societies, and have people decide where they want to go to. You can have people in the Middle Belt say they want to join with the East. You can have them say they want to join the West. Those who seek Sharia or nothing can be allowed to stay on their own. I see nothing wrong about that. It's better we peacefully play the game of Yugoslavia than kill ourselves. It doesn't really make sense. I believe that's the way we should be thinking right now. There is no law that says we must live together by force. We can all right now, if the Fulani refuse to allow equality in Nigeria as they seem not to want to. Islam has never accepted equality. It will never do. So for us to stop this, because if we allow them, they will still start these machinations tomorrow. Because if you check the history, these are very audacious people. So let us find ways to continue to coexist peacefully through a resetting of our country, as most people are talking about restructuring. So we could also restructure to have more autonomy by staying as separate entities that could still cooperate amongst ourselves. That's what I believe. That's what I know is possible. Those who never knew it was possible before should understand it is possible now with the arrival of the Americans in our country. With the interest of Israel, we've been having private talks. I've had private meetings with people, and we are now working with different caucuses and groups on how to achieve a reset in Nigeria in peaceful ways. We don't have to kill ourselves. We don't have to give in to those who insist that they must dominate us and continue these genocidal jihads that I believe are not necessary. So all this acrobatics, going to church, pretending to be a good, it doesn't make nothing. Tinubu's wife is the one going to church in the US. She's the same one telling people that they should plot and kill the Igbo, take their properties. It has not changed. It's the same woman. Are we going to deny it? No. Are we going to pretend it never happened? No, it did happen. She's on record. She's on tape. So leave those things alone. We can become together by resetting ourselves to live in autonomous units that could be called country, It could be called a confederal arrangement, and we can cooperate as we cooperate currently with other people through ECOWAS or through the African Union.
Right, so very quickly, while I will take my last caller. Make I quickly show you a report where BC I come across where I feel say we need to talk about. And when I saw this report, people felt, I carried it and I felt that why do we not pay attention to this and perhaps talk about it as often as possible? And that's on the report of the, I don't know if you still have it here. That's the report of the 20, I think it's the 2021 census, the 1921 census, that the Igbos were actually the largest population in Nigeria at that time. So what changed?
Nothing changed. It's just as we talk, as we plot, others are also plotting. You know, look at when Buhari came to power, our GDP was somewhere 500 billion plus. Today is about 219. So Buhari's rule brought ruin on our economy, brought suffering upon our people. And there are people who will still talk and tell you, hey, there was good thing. Is this that there are liars who are paid to lie, who are paid to go and be in denial. That's what changed. The evil people came to power, they came to government, and that was why our people started suffering. This is a blessed country, a beautiful place. But instead of us to kill ourselves struggling to be Nigerians, maybe we could partition the country into 3, 4, or even 2 autonomous units and still sustain our progression as one African society living peacefully beside each other.
Thank you so much. So in the coming days, what we would expect will happen with these boots on ground of the Americans? Is it likely to stop the attack of Christians? Is it likely to also help the people then where be say their land don't they overrun or taking over from resettling back to their land? Is it possible? What do we expect?
Yes,
What's
yes,
the prediction?
yes, yes. You have seen that the Nigerian government lacked the ability to resettle Nigerians in IDK camps back to their ancestral lands, back to their farms, back to their villages. If they can't do it, there's nothing wrong with Americans helping us to do this. 4 days ago, 5 days ago, the governor of Plateau State was in the United States, and he met Congressman Ted. So now that the American boots on the ground, those who lack the courage to speak up can now start speaking up, knowing very well that the government and its agents and those who do not want you to speak the truth cannot do you nothing. The U.S. soldiers, their presence here, I'm sure will give us more confidence to say more. And of course, they also put their eyes on our elections. If those in power do not want free and fair elections, they could run into the Maduro crisis. Now that Americans are here with us, you do elections and they are rigged. Americans could accuse you, same way they accuse Mr. Maduro, of having rigged himself to power. And who knows, whoever did that could not get the Maduro treatment. So all options are open. Nigerians are particularly very, very happy that the Americans are here.
Let me quickly speak to my last caller and then we'll call it a day. Let's see. Mr. Comparable Facts, good evening and welcome.
Yeah, good evening. Hi, Dr. Kachi. It's nice to see you. I'm
Thank
Precious.
you.
Greeting, it's been a while. Thank you, sir. It's
Thank
nice to
you.
see you.
Thank you so much. Go ahead, please.
So my question is that it's two part to my question. The first question is that how does the USA good on the ground, affect the radicalization and anti-American in that northern region? Do you think that that's going to affect anti-American present in that and the radicalization? And the last one is about Obi Kubana. Can you tell the people of Igbo land to stop bashing Obi Kubana? Obi Kubana is a businessman. I mean, his vote is not going to affect where the Southeasterners lie. What do you think about that? Please, thank you.
Radicalization started in 1978 after the death of General Murtala Muhammad. The Muslims got angry, and then as Obasanjo's transition went on, they started radicalizing to talk about Sharia, to talk about all that Muslim rule. That went on. We had that democratic election, but Buhari and those who believed in that radicalization did coup, and then said that the coup was that them won the civil war and they shouldn't share power with us Christians. They see that as a game. So you had a cascade of coups after Buhari, after Babangida, Abacha, and then they wrote all sorts of things into the decrees and forced that on us as laws of our country. Created the states, did what they want to do. That's how radicalization has been going on. Today, Buhari came again to speed up that radicalization. Started the jihad, started the killings, and then Tinubu came in, couldn't do anything, had no reactions, couldn't calibrate any intelligent reaction to what was going on, forcing the Americans to come in. Now, as we have seen, there has been an escalation, which means a double down by these jihadists and the radicals. That's why I spoke that instead of us to join that double down and kill ourselves, we can peacefully agree to a peaceful partition of the country into about 4, 3, or 2 entities where we can live peacefully, sharing common borders, and not kill ourselves. Now, Obi Kubana is a young businessman. There's nothing wrong in people trying to buy into his perceived popularity. But I want to remind you politically, Obi Kubana's junior brother ran for Federal House of Representatives. Obi Kubana couldn't get his brother to win. So I don't know how he will get Tinubu to win. The government believes in coercing people to defect to its big hall. But don't forget, defecting into the hall does not say that the people are defecting with these people. No, it's just picture. It's trying to create a picture that they are with the elites. The elite are not the poor that vote. The elite are not the people who feel the pains of bad governance. The elite are not the people who complain about the ethnic cleansing. The elite are not the people in the villages who get killed in the genocidal jihad. So it doesn't really matter. It doesn't matter. I don't think, I think Obi Kubana has every right to join any association, any union, any friendship that he desires. Those who speak against him have their reasons. But I want you to understand during these elections, Igbos are very likely to go with anybody who is with Trump. I repeat it again. Igbos are very likely to go with any platform or caucus that supports the actions of President Trump and the Americans in Nigeria. Take that to bank.
Some of, does that answer your question?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Dr. Kachi. You know, I share your opinion about Obi Kubana too. Thank you, Precious, again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very
Thank,
much.
thank you, Dr. Katch. You know, it's always an eye opener speaking with you and sharing things about our country. And with the hope, say one day things go better. We'll look at the level we're there right now. So we pray, say one day this our effort will yield fruits and we'll get a country where we'll be proud of. And that will be very soon by the grace of God. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you
Thank
so
you for having me.
thank you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good night and God bless you, sir.
Okay.
Good night, sir. All right, Nigerians, that's the size of our package. If you've not subscribed to this platform, please kindly do so. Click on the subscription button. If you've not liked this post, I beg now, put your offering. Subscribe now, like the post. It is for free, you're not paying money. So like the post and share it. We will continue to speak for the growth and development of our nation. I love you guys so much, but in all of this, please protect your mental health. I know it can be very challenging dealing with all the stories coming up from Nigeria or all the happenings in Nigeria daily, but please ensure you protect your mental health because hey, you need to be alive to keep thinking about Nigeria. I see you again tomorrow evening with Prince Francis Chilaka. Good night and God bless you. Thank you.